Chepso. Below me is Petasiris. How are you, Patrick?
Good.
Good.
Good. I'm just waiting to see. I'm just waiting to see. Oh, it looks like I'm just waiting to see if we're actually live yet on other channels, and it looks like we just did. So I'm gonna post this link
Yep.
now to the
We're
channels
live
in
on.
each. So
Okay.
1 second. All
Go
right.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. That one's done, and then we're under here. And okay. All right. Okay. I think we're now we're now all there on all channels, I believe.
Ooh. All
So
right.
okay, so now everyone has a way to get here at least.
Fantastic. So how you doing, Patrick?
Well, I feel a bit like Samwise Gamgee at the end of Return of the King. You know, not to get too real, but anyone who's been following us in this whole journey, knows that it's been like a long time. It took a long time to bring this vision to reality. It's so appropriate that we've we've released the first version of the program as Saturn and Neptune were first making their approach in mid 2025, but they didn't quite complete. And I think that kind of reflected the fact that there were still some critical things that we had to do with the program before it would be truly fully ready. And so it's so interesting that now that Saturn and Neptune have made this conjunction for real, that's the point at which this vision has now turned into a reality, which is just so classically Saturn Neptune.
It
And
is hilarious.
it hasn't just been a massive technical challenge, but it has also been a test of spiritual resolve. And it has absolutely been that kind of experience, at least for me, just because of the sacrifice that was required to make this happen. And so, while I am very, very happy and just ecstatic, really, that we're at this point and that people are actually getting to play with it, and it's really, more usable in a real way than it was before. It is also, I also come, with it sort of bearing the weight of the knowledge of what it took, of what it cost, in our lives, and certainly not that's not just true for us, but also for our collaborator, our programmer in chief, John Streeker, who has gone to um, uh, unimaginable
The River
lengths.
Hades. The River
If I'm
Hades.
Samwise Gamgee, he's Frodo. He's the one bearing the biggest burden, of the ring. And but the good news is, we succeeded. um and uh and so we now have this incredible program, which is only going to get better from here on out. But for many of you who are watching this, you may already have kind of an early version of the program, so feel free to update it and see some of the new things that we put in there. And I don't want. I hope you're not watching this thing. You're like, oh God, is this just going to be like an infomercial for Nichepso? Well, I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
Forgive
Yeah.
us. We are trying to.
Totally. A
We
little
do
bit.
want a little bit, but we also, Nick. I don't know about you, but like I'm using Nichepso now. Like I'd
Yeah.
say it used to be like 50-50 Nichepso Solifire.
Mhm.
Now it's more like it's crossing that 50% threshold. There are like more things now that I can just do
Yeah.
with Nichepso that I don't really need to go back to Solifire for. And I think as time goes on, that number will just keep getting up to 100. There are so many things that are just so cool about the software. So I don't know if you've had that experience too, of like
Oh yeah.
being able to kind of rely on Nichepso more for everything you need.
Yeah, I mean, I've only had it a few days.
Mhm.
You were more involved in the programming, so you
Right.
had access to a sort of a
That's
beta
true.
copy. Um, and I've just had it in the last few days because I had to wait for the Mac
That's
optimization to
right.
be completed. And but I mean, I can tell you, first of all, I knew by the time I got it that things had really shot up. The speed is incredible now.
Yeah.
It's really fast, and that really has made a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I know I'm going to be using it in consultations probably by the end of this week or so. I'm going to make the pivot.
Yeah, I already am.
Yeah,
I've been using it now
yeah,
for
yeah,
consults. I've gotten through 4 consultations just using the Chipso, and it's
yeah.
worked just great.
Right.
Um
I'm gonna wait, I'm waiting a week just so I'm really, really fluid with it,
mhm. Yeah,
but, clearly it's ready for me to do that, and that's the wonderful thing about Nichepso is it's really like, it's designed well for professional working astrologers, but it's also really, really good for absolute beginner astrologers because there's all this help material. Every planet or point that you click on, there's a text window that opens up that has several paragraphs of information and explanation and what have you. So it's a really great tool for learning astrology for beginners, and for people like us who are just using astrology software all day every day, for work and for fun. It's a huge step up. You know, of course, we have all these development plans, ready for Nichepso and where we want to take it. So the things that it doesn't have yet, like an astral mapping or things that or full Vedic function. I mean, we're headed there, and those are the only things that something like Solar Fire still has on us, is that we don't have those features yet. But this software runs so much faster than any existing software. It runs on any platform. So Windows, Mac, Linux, we're the first
Linux, yeah.
astrology software. I mean, that alone, the fact that we're the only software available to all three platforms, um, and that it's just like it's nice and workable now. Yeah, we released it last summer and we loved it, but it was kind of slow, kind of clunky. There were some things that we felt it needed that it didn't have, and we had to spend. I mean, a lot of what John spent the time since last summer doing
Right.
was the optimization, which was making it run faster, and that was what ironically took us so long, was to make it run faster. But
But it's
it's
mind-blowing
working.
that it was literally from, like, the closest approach of Saturn and Neptune to the actual, like, completion of
Yeah,
that aspect that seems to have timed out the exact interval between the original release and this new, this more official release in a weird way, kind of relaunch almost. We were it was we were in such a difficult spot in a way because I wanted to really promote it and I wanted people to see how cool it was, but I didn't want to give people the wrong impression that it would always, be at that level. So one thing I want to say while we're on here, I'm not sure how many people are watching. I don't know if you have any.
40,
Uh,
45.
yeah, so I have some thanks in order. You know, we've had some incredible support from the 500 or so beta testers who have been with us since the beginning, who made this investment in us and in the program and the idea and the vision during the Jupiter Uranus conjunction of in Taurus of 2024. Yeah, so it's been almost 2 years, and so we were extremely thankful for them because it wouldn't have been possible if we had not had such strong community support in the beginning. I also want to give a special thanks to uh, the um, the Patreon supporters. There were some people who were still supporting the Astrology Livestream Patreon, even though we had to go on a hiatus. And some people did that in order to keep supporting our work on the Chepso, because it's been very difficult balancing, um, like keeping money coming in for our families through our work as astrologers versus spending the time necessary to do the work to bring the Chepso to being. And it's been a big stress on all our families. But the fact that people were giving while we weren't even giving producing the show. That's just so special to me. We actually just emailed out a gift for those people who were supporting the Patreon for the Astrology Livestream. We decided to give them free access to niche episode for a year as thanks for their contribution. A lot of the other people were already beta testers, so I couldn't really give them anything. They already had free access to the program for life. But the good news is yeah, we're here. And I also want to thank gosh yeah, I definitely want to thank Beth, my wife. She's definitely put up with an incredible amount in dealing with all of this and the stress and pressure that is put on us. So I'm sorry if I seem a bit shell shocked by it all, but I am a little bit shell shocked. I'm a bit. I'm both very, very happy this is out. I'm also, you can tell, a bit little beaten down by this whole process, and I'm still here. I'm still, I'm doing okay otherwise.
Good.
Anyway, I feel like we're talking a lot about the program, but we haven't shown anything about the program. I haven't shown people kind of what the people want to see. I'm curious to see what questions people might have about it as we show it. But I guess, what are some of your favorite things about the program that you want to show us, Nick?
Wow. I mean, where do I start? I mean, there's all these really cool.
You want to share your screen?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, show. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you not want to share your screen?
Oh, I can share my screen if you like. Yeah. Yeah, I can do it. One sec. Let me. Okay.
Okay, where are you here? Did you? I had you share your screen yesterday. How am I doing this again?
Oh, I think
there we are. Okay.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I just have to. Oh. Okay, must be this one.
Yeah, I have should be able to on it. There we are. Okay.
Oh, one sec.
Oops. Yep.
Sorry, I was in the middle of a development session, so I was just
okay,
getting some things out to get it up. Computer is, I have a lot of things open right now, and everything is slow.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't I? Okay, I'll.
I'm freezing up now. Of course.
Okay. You're right there. Okay.
I'm just trying to.
I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were going to be.
No, I would have been prepared. I was in the middle of something. All right. Okay.
There we go. Sorry, folks. I'm still getting a handle on this. And then let's make this bigger. There we go. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So Um, yeah, as people might have seen on the videos, we have the twilight setting, we have the nocturnal setting, and we have the diurnal setting. And
It's just ways of changing the way it looks, you know, it's just like, you know, you can have a dark theme or a light
yeah,
theme, that's all it is.
yeah, it starts off this way, but it's a very customizable software. So, for instance, you can do cool stuff like this. add add little video clips in the background of the software.
Pretty
This
much
is
Yeah, pretty much anything that you wanna make your copy of each episode look like that there's pretty vast customization options. Um,
yeah. So you can do you can do cool stuff like this. Go down to this one, upload a video, and um, choose from your files. Oops. I have a Muhammad Ali video compilation I just made. And I put it up here. I save the settings. And no, I got to do it again. This time it'll work. This time it'll work. There we go. So then you can have, like, I'm looking at a chart of Muhammad Ali, and then there's like a video clip of his boxing match in the background. You can do nifty stuff like that. Although, you know, obviously the video can also be a bit much. I'll turn it off. I just wanted to show you that it's possible. But let's get into some of the astrology features. I think my favorite thing, Patrick, is this thing that you've introduced. That you've been showing us. I haven't played with it myself, but this, where do I find it? Your new.
you may wanna show it on the left side just because the,
Okay.
QR code is on the right.
Oh, okay.
So you wanna
Uh,
go to the settings cog at the bottom,
yeah.
and then you can select which uh-oh, looks like your text
Yeah,
is not the right color.
I have the wrong text color there.
Whoops.
Just a moment. Let me fix that.
My copy's up now, if
Oh,
you
okay.
wanna see on my
Why don't
side.
we,
Okay,
yeah.
alright. Okay.
Just a second here. I'm gonna move over to you
Okay,
because you have more
alrighty.
facility with that. Here,
Okay,
turn off my screen share and send me yours. Okay,
do you
add to
see
screen.
mine?
Yep, there you are, and I'll just put it up here. And yeah, um, there we go.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
yeah. So one thing that I kind of like is I like the fact that you can like put pictures in just the middle of charts. I like that you can do that because, you know, you can. I mean, that's often a type of graphical choice I have to make when I'm like making charts. I will have to put it into a program and then put a photo in the middle of it. You know, and you can just do that. And if you don't want a picture there, of course, it's really easy to, you know, choose just to decide what you want on the chart or not. So you can press, you know, use photo, just click on and off. Everything's
yeah.
toggleable.
You can also put the aspect lines. You can take the photo
Yeah.
off and
Yeah, you could put the aspect lines on.
yeah,
Yeah, there you go. You got
yeah,
different options for aspects as well. You can use like weighting by line. You can do like a fading and weighting to kind of reflect applying, separating, etc. I'm not a huge fan of aspect wheels though. To me, it
no,
feels a
no,
little like
me
training
neither. But
wheels.
people do
People
like
do-
them.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the people who want them know that they're there. I mean, that's the thing. It's
Absolutely.
so everything can be really personalized,
Like, right.
customized. The things you like can be there. The things you don't like or don't have any use for, they're available to other people. They're available to you if you want to tinker
Sure.
with them. But
Like
you know, that's the beauty of it.
I know
It's
like people are really particular about the way that they have their charts display, right? So like there's so much you can do here. Right? So for example, some people like their ascendant to be at the 9 o'clock position, but other people like to have the start of the ascending sign at the 9 o'clock position. A lot of people who use whole sign houses are more like familiar with this way of orienting the chart. I sort of prefer this just because it keeps me rooted to the kind of astronomy of the horizon at least being the ground. Um, but uh, we don't really have to choose anymore when we're talking about like house systems. We know that in the tradition they used whole signs and quadrants sort of simultaneously, and now you can just uh-oh, looks like that's little bug. I'm actually, for what it's worth, I should probably qualify that the version of Nicheps I'm working with is actually an earlier one because I'm in the middle of this development thing, and I haven't actually updated the most recent version. Um, Actually, that's another kind of cool thing is um, when there is a new version of the program, you'll actually see a little message pop up here saying, you can update to the next version. Um, it just downloads it automatically, and then you choose when you want it to be installed. So you'll stay updated regardless. Let's see, what other things can we do here? If you want to change the colors of the signs, just right click. How many times has it been? How many times have you had to deal with just how difficult it is to change the coloring of glyphs and of signs, etc.? You can even do gradients in here. If we want Aries to be like hot pink, uh, you know, boom, you can do that. Aries is a hot pink. We even have a gradient with pink. Let's see. We could make Jupiter like we could make Jupiter yeah, like a blue or whatever. There it is. It's blue now. You can even throw gradients and shadows on here. So if I wanted it to be like blue and red, I can make it do that. So it's like blue and red at the same time. So you can really make it the way you want. I'm going to reset it to default.
We have some beta users that have been really creative and artistic and really inspired. They started doing things with their Nichepso designs that we'd never dreamed of. You remember
Yeah,
that back then?
someone
Right
created like
out
a
of the
Lisa
gate?
Frank style
Yeah, no, I mean,
version
people
of the
got
workspace.
really, really,
Yeah,
and so,
it
yeah,
was
I mean,
incredible.
you can make it look a bunch of different ways. That's another beauty of it all. Um, why don't you show that the visibility, the innovation you have,
Oh, sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's a few things that I've had a sort of personal hand in. I mean, I was actually personally involved in the original design. What you see here in the workspace, the first version of this was like an MS Paint drawing, um, and now it's this. And there are still some improvements we're going to make here. Eventually you'll be able to animate charts like on the side, and you'll be able to kind of customize your layout of even this. But yeah, so I've had a fair amount of impact on what we kind of see here. When you the one thing I kind of like is like when you click on a planet, you'll get all of these little slides of like information about the planet, and of course what Nick was talking about earlier, you can have little explanations of what all these things mean for all of the slides. So because one of the problems that I've had with astrology software is it gives you a lot of data, but it doesn't always give you good explanations. It seems like we're just drowning in more things to sort of look at, but no way to sort of contextualize it. And that's something that we've really tried to kind of have some kind of solution for. Like, uh, for example, when you're analyzing
Oh,
uh,
that's
when you're
blocked.
analyzing the way that when you're analyzing like the activity level and goodness or badness of certain sign activations in ZR, there's a lot of abstract rules to kind of keep in track while you're thinking about this. And so what we did here with this tool, with the sign score tool, is we basically made kind of an algorithm that takes all of the things that decide whether a sign is like more active or inactive, or positive versus negative, and we put it across this axis of angularity and condition. So in my chart, for example, it says that Leo is one of my most active signs. That's because my fortune's in Leo. But my most positive one is Taurus, because not only is it an angle relative to the ascendant and fortune, but also because it's ruled by a benefic of the sect. So whereas we could say that Gemini is one of my least positive signs to be activated. Um, because it's further over on the left, but it's also, um, but it's not incredibly active because it's sort of in the middle range of angularity. Whereas, like, my best but least amazing or active period would be Cancer. It's further over on the right, but it doesn't really have a lot of oomph. Whereas, like, Libra is for me is a sign that doesn't have a lot of oomph, and it's not that great, maybe because of Mars in there and not having a whole lot of support. So I just we also put this in a list form as well, so you can kind of just see it like that. But I like seeing the graph. I like being able to kind of visually see this information kind of condensed, and so I can automatically know, okay, what are like the main signs that we should be looking out for here? Like, yeah, my Taurus periods, those should be really good. As it happens, I was in a Taurus L2 period when we started Nichepso. And the bulk of my initial work on the Chepso occurred while I was in my absolute best, most positive and most active ZR period. So, I mean, I think things like this are really cool, and they're going to really help you be able to uh, have a shorthand way of accessing this information. So you're not just being given more data, but actually being given kind of an interpretive assistance here with that. So I kind of like that. Some of the tools here that I actually built myself, this is one of the first ones I built, was just a planetary hours tool. So I kind of liked the way that this looks. It even shows you there's an aspect between the ruler of the day and the ruler of the hour. It even you can even switch it to 24-hour rulers versus day-night rulers, because some people think that the first hour of sunset is like the night ruler. So, depending on the way you look at that, I was either born on a Jupiter day or a moon night. Of course, this is directly relating to this chart. But if you just wanted to see the planetary hours of the moment, just click that and boom. It right now in my location is a sun day and a Mars hour, at least for another 7 minutes. So that's pretty cool. I also built this Chrono Combos tool, which is kind of like the planetary activations thing. This is the technique from Valens that shows you the activation times of planets, and I did a whole talk at NORWAC on this, and I used this tool to kind of do some of that research. So this is like one of the only, if not the only place where you can actually do this. You might recall I had originally done this with all of these crazy spreadsheets and everything, but now we have like this nice little tool to do it with. Oh yeah, I wrote out interpretations of every sun moon combination possible to implement the porphyry method of determining the predominator. So this is useful when you're doing like circumambulations. So it's telling us that for my chart, it's certain that the moon is the predominator, and it even gives my little interpretation here. The sun cannot be the predominator due to cadency, while the moon is stronger by being in an angular or succeeding placement. So and eventually we'll have different methods of determining the predominator put in here, but we have porphyry for now. So I was involved in that. The very first one I did was just this midpoints tool. What's cool about the midpoints tool is not only does it give you a list of all the midpoints in the chart of all the planets that you have displayed in the chart, but you can look at midpoints by not just longitude, but also right ascension, azimuth, declination, latitude, and altitude. So all of the horizontal and vertical dimensions, whether you're looking at the ecliptic or at the equator, or at the sort of local horizon, in local space, that is, you can look at all of the midpoints across all coordinate frames. So not everyone can do that. And then, of course, there's this one. So this is what I'm actually still working on refining this. But essentially, what heliacal phenomena does is something that I've been really interested in for a long time, and it's something that's really basic about planets in astrology. Is just simply whether they are visible or not. And typically, people may be familiar with like the 15-degree rule. So here you can actually switch on the sunbeams here. So you can actually have a visual representation of the beams. You can even change how large the beams are.
The reach of the sun, yeah.
Right, the reach of the sun. The problem with the 15-degree rule is it's at worst it's an approximation, or at best it's an approximation, and at worst it's astronomically meaningless. If you're taking into account factors like atmospheric, uh, the
Distortion, yeah.
yeah, and the extinction coefficient of your local atmosphere. If you're taking all those kinds of things into account, then it actually is a much more tricky mathematical problem of determining when planets are actually visible or not. And actually, this is something I've been working on actually with Nick since the August of 2023, since the summer of 2023 when we first started doing kind of streams. I created a Google map of that basically showed Venus's heliacal risings and settings as global phenomena. Because the weird part about this is that it makes heliacal appearances of planets locally specific. It makes them sensitive to location, and so there hasn't really been a software yet that has made it very easy to actually tell whether or not a given planet is visible in a particular location or not. And I went to great pains to try to um, make this adhere as much as possible to sort of empirical constraints. I relied heavily on the work. I'm indebted to the work of Rumen Kolev, whose empirical observations of the planets, has been key to developing more precise algorithms for actually determining when planets are visible or not. And yeah, so his work has been incredible, as well as Victor Reyes's. And I'm not sure I know how to pronounce his name, but in any case, um, the yeah, so this tool tells you when a planet disappeared, when it will next appear, or when it last set, when it will next rise. And there's some explanations there in case you have like missing events. And I'm still dealing on an update dealing with missing events. But then I also created this
Love
cycle
this.
diagram, which allows you to sort of have a visual depiction of the cycles of Mercury. So you can tell here that Mercury actually missed its its evening rising, and then it also gives you the dates of the elongations, the retrograde stations. You can also tell that it missed the evening loss. So in this particular location, in where I was born, Mercury was invisible, and that's probably due to the latitude, just was born up high. But it's something that it's kind of important to know, because it means that like Mercury was only visible for that part of its cycle in certain parts of the world. And so I think that has an astrological significance, that like there are
It
certain places
absolutely would.
visible versus where it's not. I mean, this goes back literally to the beginning
Yeah.
of like astrology, in the
Proto-astrology.
right. Like this is Babylonian. Like, is a planet visible or not? And it's such a simple determination, such a simple thing, but we haven't really had something to just easily reference. Is it actually visible or not?
Yeah, there's no astrology software that has anything remotely like this. This is my single favorite, new feature on Incepso. I'm blown away that you designed this. The accuracy, just the design of it all is ingenious,
Thank
and
you.
I'm so excited for this.
It
It
is
is
a
something we desperately needed. I mean, you're
mhm,
absolutely right. It's such a basic component of astrology is whether or not these planets are visible or not, and going by a sort of arbitrary rule like 15 degrees, is a kind of arbitrary approximation, and this is so
right.
much more precise, and it's gonna change everyone's astrology game as this becomes more common.
So I am actually doing a whole talk on this whole topic of combustion and visibility, and some of my preliminary research and findings on this, which have been nothing short of like kind of mind blowing, I think. But I'm going to be giving a talk on this at Norwalk, called "Playing with Fire: Combustion and Visibility." Um, One thing that I think is super, super cool that I didn't even really understand properly until I started really working on this in depth is that there's this phenomenon around the time of a planet's opposition with the sun. And this is only possible, of course, with Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, etc., where you can have a period of time where a planet is visible in the morning past the point of the opposition, and when it first makes its appearance in the evening. And sometimes these overlap, and other times they don't. And what's weird about that is usually it centers around the like. Here's a more typical example of like a Mars cycle. Uh, it's still loading because it's a lot of calculations. Here we go. Here's a more typical example. Usually there's like a degree of overlap. So there's actually a time before the conjunction where the planet is, it becomes visible in the evening at the same time that it's visible in the morning, which means that during this period, this purple section is where Mars has night-long visibility. So there's a special period that really is only a few days where Mars is not only brightest in the sky, but where it's actually visible above the Earth the entire nighttime. But
Mm.
there are, and so I guess the meaning of that, the meaning of like a planet being at its chronicle rising to its cosmical setting, this period of overlap between morning and night um, would be like the planet is at maximum, dominance in power, because it's not just bright. It's not just at its brightest point in the sky, but it's also like visible the entire time, the whole night, from dusk till the next dawn. But with you have these other weirder ones where they don't overlap, and so the brightest period for that planet does not necessarily coincide with its period of all night visibility. So you get those time frames where it's only visible only at midnight. Like you can't really see it in the evening. You can't really see it at dawn, but you can see it at midnight. And so I depicted that here. And of course, if you hover over these, it tells you, what's going on with that planet and that part of its cycle. Right. I will eventually add stars to this, and I'll complete the moon. The moon is really, really simple right now. It's kind of sad, but eventually I want to put like the eclipses and stuff in here and do the chronicle and cosmical settings for this as well. But we have this, yeah, in place for this. So I think this is pretty cool. Now,
It's fantastic.
thank you.
Patrick, why
No,
don't you quickly, but before you start that
yeah,
next thing, can you just quickly click the button on the data box that changes it? Yeah, that one, that button you almost pressed there, the one on the far right that
far
changes
right.
the data box, the far right of those 5 buttons. No, you were there, down, down,
What do you
down.
want me to? What you want me
The,
to?
the circle, the data box, show them where you can just make it simple text. That's it, that one.
Oh, yeah,
Boom.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
can change
because
the way this
yeah,
looks.
otherwise people are going to think we only have
I see.
the
Yeah,
option. I just wanted you to
yeah.
click that.
Okay, gotcha. The display mode. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, thank you, thank
No
you.
problem. Um, and then the list, something else that's been kind of needed is just the ability to just print out a quick list of like the heliacal events. Maybe you don't want to, go hunting and pecking through this cycle thing, or just happening to see it on a given chart. Maybe you want to know for a given place exactly, pardon me, exactly what the chain of events is. So you just put in your date range, your location, the events you want to see for each planet, and it'll generate them here. And yeah, I think that's very useful. And if you do want to change um, your settings for like the extinction coefficient, you can actually change it manually here for different atmospheric conditions. But I would probably recommend though using the dynamic setting, which is the default for the program, because the dynamic setting means that it will be appropriate. It will be a reasonable extinction coefficient value for every location on Earth for every day of the year, because of course atmospheric conditions vary from year to year and from place to place. So I actually used NASA's Terra satellite data, about 10 years of it, to find the sort of like clearest days to get a kind of baseline average for every day on Earth. Every day of the year for every location of Earth, or at least down to 1 degree of longitude and latitude geographically. So um, it's so it's got a lot of thoughts that are put into this, and yeah, it's the only place I know of that you can actually do this. I had to make the thing that I wanted to see. I feel like that's been a big theme of this program is there's been so many things I've wanted to see in a program that we haven't really had before. Um, like for example, can you still see the chart?
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. So like down here, the timeline feature. This is like this is so necessary. Now you won't have to necessarily see this all the time. You can like put it away or whatever, and we'll have
You
different
can put
options.
everything away,
Yeah,
incidentally. We can show you that in a sec.
yeah. There you go. If you want sort of full height, the screen, you
Yeah.
can. It is pretty
And
easy to.
even the sides, you can just have the chart up if you
Yeah,
want.
that's true. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do that. You can put it all away if you like.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, it's pretty easy to kind of make it look the way you want. But the reason why the timeline is so cool is that you can put events on the timeline for a given chart. So I actually don't have any that I put on my chart because I've been working in development mode. But here, like if I wanted to, I can add events here. So I could say, marriage, May 25th, 2013. I think the time was 7:24 p.m. and it was in Phoenix. So there we go. All right. And then I can put comments, wedding in backyard, add. So now I have this time. Now look, do you see what just happened? It popped up here on this timeline in the right space. So now I can snap right to that event by pressing the event step forward. Now we can't see it here because we're not on a buy wheel. So we need to look at a buy wheel. So it's really simple to get a buy wheel open. Just click that. All of a sudden we have a buy wheel. Now I will admit, I'm not a fan of the way the buy wheels look. I would much prefer the buy wheel to just be like the unit wheel and just made bigger. There were some reasons that we had to kind of compromise with this at the time.
For now.
Yeah, it was just a stop gap in the moment, but we ended up just not getting back to fixing this. But I'm not a fan of the way this looks, and I do want it to be. I mean, maybe we can have it available as like an option or something if people really love this. But I don't need it.
Yeah. No, keep it as an option.
Yeah.
But those of us who want a different buy wheel,
just we have all of these color options here. Like, why don't we get to keep those then? Yeah. So we hear you. If you're thinking that, we definitely
show them how easy it is to make a buy wheel. Open two charts and show them this feature. This is crazy. He showed you one way to make a buy wheel. But yeah, let's say you want to make a buy wheel like this. You can also just drag one top on top of the other while hitting
control
or command and
command. Yeah, so I can do this. I can just drag the tab over and do that, and then boom, we got a buy wheel of the two charts together instantly.
And tri wheels can also be made this way. That's right. once the admittedly, I don't like the buy wheel design either, but shortly it'll be fixed, and then, we'll make nice looking buy wheels. But I mean, the revolution of just being able to drag one top on top of the other. Let's not bury the lead. That is such a time saver. That feature alone, you're a working astrologer. That cuts down on so much of my prep time. Before every consultation, I got to set up a whole like sort of workspace. Now, and Nichepso is making that so much faster, that process.
Right. Yeah. Just to show the buy wheel thing to create a tri wheel. So press control, drag it over onto a different chart, and boom, we got it's not a buy wheel.
You didn't drag it onto a buy wheel.
I must have dragged it onto a
Yeah, but you can do it.
Let's try it again. Yep, yeah, it went through. Yeah, so now we have a tri wheel.
With Beth, Donnie Osmond, and you.
Yeah, myself, yeah.
You're a little bit country, she's a little bit rock and roll.
There's a good reason why Donnie Osmond is in my file, but I was also just going to show very briefly that we have many different chart types. For people who you don't have a birth time for, it's really annoying that like you just have to go like 12 p.m. Like sometimes I wish software would understand that like it is a range. And so here we have a range. You actually can see, the exact, um, range that planet transit in that day. So it gives you a more accurate way of presenting an unknown time. Um, and yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's very cool. Now,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we can't put these in biwheels and triwheels just yet, but we are working on that. But back to the timeline. So if I am looking at here, if I'm gonna make another transit by wheel of myself and just the transits. To arm a chart, I can just press this. So this turns on animation, and then I can control the animation, obviously, with these tools here. Very simple, just playback controls. Look how fast that is. But I can also do it by like grabbing this marker and just putting it wherever I want. Like, that's cool. Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
And someone asked how many events can we put in the timeline?
I don't know what the limit is, but
As far as
I
I
mean, I
know, there
imagine it'll
isn't
be a lot.
one. Yeah, yeah. Eventually my whole database will be contained in Nichep, so it's going to take me a while to integrate it all properly. But yeah, all those timelines will be full, of all the different people's lives that I've studied. So really excited to use that. Again, another huge time saver.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so what's really cool too is you can even draw a line. You can even draw like I basically am specifying I want to only look at this time frame. Now it's going to snap to the area I just dragged. So now we can see that the start time and the end times are now closer together. I'm going to zoom in even further. Now we're at 2013, February 19th to August 13th, 2013. I can go even further. I can go down to like one day, you know. It's pretty cool. And if we want to snap back out, then we just press this, reset it, and now we're back to the start date being the birth date and the current date being the end date. But you can also, you can
stretch it beyond that.
yeah, you could, just boom, now we're at 1900. So now we have an even larger thing. But the coolest thing though is the fact that we're integrating like transit. So, people really like these sort of visual ways of looking at transits. And so we don't have them integrated all yet, but we do have certain ones available right now. So like you can look at eclipses. This is over a period of 126 years. So let me zoom in a little bit so we can actually see a little better. So the top row is solar eclipses. The bottom row is lunar eclipses. If you can use the filters here to filter out eclipses for certain signs. Maybe I only want to see the ones in Leo and Aquarius, like the ones we're going into now. So now we can see how the eclipses overlay with like our life events. So we can see here's my marriage that happens on this date, and we can see it didn't happen alongside those, but we'll have like you could put in like Mars Saturn squares or Sun Venus conjunctions. Actually, we can kind of do Sun Venus conjunctions already because we put in Nick's Venus synodic interval. So if you've ever been confused about, was I born, did that happen during a red 5 or something? Like what, when was it? Well, I can tell you my marriage occurred at the end of a blue 1. And we can see that. I don't have to know it. I can literally just look at it and tell you that because it's right there. So I feel like that's pretty cool. And you can also change the colors of the markers too. If you want to sort of color code your events, if you wanted to make all your career events like red, or you wanted to make, all your sort of personal life events, some other color, you can, we basically really wanted something that allows us to be able to visually see transits and visually see timelines and navigate through transits, because so much of our work together, Nick, and our work individually involves biographies and looking at cycles over the course of someone's life. And so it really becomes necessary to have tools which allow you to kind of create these chronological timelines. And now we have like a literal timeline. We have this incredible technique, but we also going to have, you can also put like time lords in here. So right now we only have circumambulations, but the eventually we'll put like ZR in there and perfections, and you know, you'll be able to see on the time like when your L1 period ends, when your L2 period ends, or when your second house perfection begins, or what have you. So yeah, I don't know if these are the things that people are focused on, but these are some of the things that excite me about this program. Um, and gosh, there are just I don't even know what to even go to next. Is there anything that people want us to look at or talk about? What are people saying in the?
Oh, people are just very, very impressed. Jenny says this is so neat. Kasanti says, "Oh, I didn't know I could color code my events. It's going to help so much." MR3 1927 timeline integration with Nick's database as a reference would make the program a lead all by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh.
Roy Dio says this is extremely exciting. So yeah, I mean, it's mostly I think just keep randomly showing the different features. There's so
Yeah,
many.
I mean, you know, it's funny because I'm not really too much of an asteroids guy, but one of the big things that's really prevented people from being able to really, really go as far as you possibly could with asteroids is that it like it's been really cumbersome to look up where they are. Um, you have to go like right now. The only way that I know how to get asteroids before Nichepso existed is like you look up on astro.com like the reference number for that asteroid, and then you put it in the box, and then you know it's like a big hassle. Now, um, now it's like stupid simple. Like now, if you want to see what asteroids are like conjunct a planet in your chart, you can literally you just select the different points that you want to be compared against. You just set the orb in minutes, and then you search, and that's pretty much it. So you can see it's searching through the asteroid positions relative to every one of my planets, and it's going to bring up the ones which are just within one arc minute of orb. And this actually can take a while because you know there are how many asteroids?
Well,
Like
that's the beautiful thing is our asteroid list is self-updating.
yeah, we have a self-updating asteroid list,
So
so you always have the
as new,
most recent
yeah.
one.
So you know there may be more asteroids in our database now than there were, you know, back in August when we first released the software. So yeah, I don't know how many there are, but they multiply, and so you know,
Yeah, we'll let
as
this cook.
let that
I
cook.
haven't I
You know,
haven't d
maybe show them some of the display features, like the fact
yeah.
that we can have 2 zodiac wheels, or you can have a
Oh, yeah,
nakshatra
sure.
ring or a lunar mansion ring. I mean, there's some
Oh,
really
yeah, yeah.
amazing
So,
stuff in that.
like, okay, yeah. So people like all kinds of different rings on here. Well, if you're gonna when you're using this program, you're probably gonna notice having to go to display quite a lot for like different things that you need. Not just for changing the way it looks, but the things you actually want to sort of that you want to appear. So, for example, if you know like comparing sidereal and tropical, well, just put on the sidereal tropical ring. The one that you choose primarily is the one on the outside, and the one you're comparing it against is the one on the inside. So technically, I'm a Cancer rising in the sidereal zodiac, but I'm a Leo rising in tropical, and we all know which one makes more sense. Um, we also have the constellation ring. So if know if you're really intent on if you have your sun in Ophiuchus and you really just got to be in Ophiuchus, you can look at that if you like.
Yep.
Um, and I think you can even put these on at the same time. So, you can, it's a little Looney Tunes looking right now, but um, yeah, you can put those on. If you want to see like the nakshatras, you can put those on here. You also have a choice of using the glyphs that we made for nakshatras or just this sort of standard 2-letter notation. You can even throw in Abhijit, this like mythical one. If you want to see the lunar mansions, you can get them numbered, or you can use glyphs. And of course, if you click on these, if you click on any of these, you get a little interpretation of the lunar mansions and like what they're supposed to be good for. So that's really cool. Um, You can also put on the decans, and you have choice of having the Chaldean rulers, the sort of elemental triplicity rulers, or you can have both display.
And you
And
can click on a particular decan and get the definition of it.
yeah,
Like
so
everything, the
there you go.
nakshatras, the lunar mansions, the asteroids, everything. You
There's
click
even
on it,
a
you get a definition. Even a tarot card for all
yeah,
the
you
decans.
even
But
get the tarot card association with the decan, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, luckily I have a pretty good tarot card associated with the decan. I have Rising. It's a Jupiter one. Um, so I appreciate that. And then we have bounds. If you like Ptolemaic bounds, if you're one of those people, you can look at them
you're one
like
of those
that.
Ptolemaic bounce people. And again,
Oh
you
no,
can click on
Chaldean is a
every.
bug. Chaldean is a bug. At least in this
Okay.
version, it does. I don't know if
Click
some of these things were fixed yet.
click on the bound again. You can get the definitions.
You get the definitions. You also get the. We got permission from the translator of Valen's, the Mark Riley, to use his translation for the sort of Valen's descriptions, and we have that kind of throughout the program. But yeah, that's a big one. He has the Valen's description of each bound in there. We even have ninth parts. If you really want to see the ninth parts, we even have, we have 12
Quads.
parts.
Yeah, 12 parts, and then
We
even the
have the
Monomoria.
Paulus 13th parts.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, yeah, and the Monomoria.
Monomoria, and you can get the definitions of the Monomoria if you can manage to get your little mouse in there close enough.
Oh, well, we don't have a definition, but basically you can see that looks like my horizontal scroll bar is not here, but you can see that when you hover over one, you can see the name of the planet appears in the center of the chart.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm just keep in mind I'm actually working with an earlier version of the program, so some of these things might actually be fixed in the updated ones. But yeah, if you just hover over them, you can see which one you're on,
and
they just color coded.
as we do update the software, it's now automatic. So there's no more like people who have the most up-to-date versions. When we update the software for this or that bug fix or some new feature, it's seamless. It just, the next time you open your software, the bug is fixed or the new feature is added, and you didn't have to do anything.
We got the exaltation degrees in here. So you can just have those displaying if you like. Oh yeah, this is probably pretty important to know about. So like we have these additional rings you can put on, because you know how sometimes you'll put in like a bunch of asteroids or lots or fixed stars or whatever, and it can kind of make the chart sort of cluttered. Like if I go to objects and I go down to lots, and I can either search directly for lots, or I can just like throw a bunch of them in there. See, they just like magically appear here. It can start to get a little crowded, but I can kind of give my eyes a break if I click on lot ring, and then now all of a sudden those same lots are now on the outside. So this differentiates that they're different from planets, but then also kind of allows our eyes to sort of see the planets versus the lots. So that kind of gives our eyes a break there. And you can do the same thing with fixed stars and with asteroids. It's just a way of making it kind of easier to digest all of the information that you're seeing on the screen. And yeah, I love the object selection. I love that you can just, whoops, I deselected everything. So if I select all, what happens? Oh, hopefully it doesn't. Oh, that almost selected everything in the whole thing. Okay, so hopefully that was fixed. Okay, I can get all the planets back, and I can get my angles back. There we go. Oh, that's much better. Now you have some choices for glyphs. There's actually a lot more glyph choices coming, but one of the it's right here, glyphs. So you can choose which Capricorn glyph you want. You can choose different glyphs for the aspects. You can also, if you don't like the sort of honeycomb style glyphs for the angles, you can just switch those to, the letters, just like that. Pretty easy. Everything's just toggles. you want to change the colors, you have all those options here. I also love the resize. I love that, like, some people like to have a super huge inner circle size, and you can do that if you like, or have a really small one. If you want to change the size of the fonts of the program, you can make those bigger. Change the glyph size. You can do, whatever you like, really. You can change the radial spacing, the lateral spacing. It's
Yep. Very, very easy.
very easy. And you can do the same thing with the bi-wheels and tri-wheels as well. They have this similar kind of options to change the size of things, just as easy as that. And you can specify that this is being done for this individual chart or as a global setting.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. So
when I'm using like some charts, if there isn't a specific time, it's approximate. I don't necessarily want the angles showing on that chart. I just want the planets.
right.
But then I'm looking at a bunch of planets that are timed, and so I want to be able to customize these different charts, and that's what's beautiful. It allows you to do it. Different charts can be showing different points depending on what what you want to get out of a given chart.
Right. So for that, I think that would be I think that is this not, oh yeah, that's not working. That's right. Oh yeah, might just be unfortunately, this is one of the things I really like. It was working, but it might be working now in a future version. But basically it overlays another house system on top of the one you're looking at. And I think that's pretty cool. It allows you to kind of see placements by sign and by quadrant. And yeah, you can pretty much make this look exactly how you want. You can choose different colors even for like the nakshatras, all of I mean, it's just John just went, to town,
Yeah.
pretty much with the customization of how it looks. And I know, like, I still have like the standard default one, just because I haven't done as much work with like customizing mine, because I've been mostly involved with just trying to fix things and trying to build things, and so I haven't actually taken as much time as I would like to sort of customize my setup, but it's all possible. Now, and this is just the workspace, mind you. Like, oh yeah, he made this like find function. This allows you to like, you can. What I like about this, and I had a little bit of a hand in this, is I wanted the ability to search for like specific electional windows. So like if you're looking for an electional window and you only know that you have like Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can have this option to where you have the capability of taking your election on. Then you can specify like the days of the week. You can restrict certain dates from the search. You can put a time restriction, a date range, and for a location, and that allows you to then do all kinds of different astrological searches for a really specific time frame. So it kind of matches the way that you would do like an electional search. It kind of eliminates the possibilities for you and leaves you with the ones that it finds. But this is just in the workspace. I mean, we have like the personal module as well, which is like a whole other thing. It shows you all of the aspects of people in your circle, the transits that you're having in your own personal chart. There'll be more explanatory materials in here as well. I love this feature, the journal, the fact that you can like put little journal entries about like what you've experienced with transits. This will be very useful later on when the AI will be able to kind of take events from what you've talked about and be able to relate them to the transits you're having. My circle, I haven't actually set up all my circles yet.
I can show my circles if
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see. I'll be right there.
And then
I did go to town with my circle.
Okay. John, he even made like this whole like tarot thing. I'm not even as much of a tarot guy. I've been really weirded out by tarot because my wife Beth is really into it and she's showing me a lot of cool stuff. But like I like this card. I think this is like a good money card, I think. So hopefully that's good for this streaming session, since we do want people to try out the Chepso. There is that element. I won't deny that we would like people to try it out, but I mean, um, yeah, the oh yeah, if you right click, you even get some meanings for the card: wealth, success, leadership, security, abundance, and discipline. Astrological associations with fire and earth. So yeah, there's tons of cool stuff. He also did this whole like numerology thing here, so you can see that this whole module is kind of designed not just for keeping track of your personal transits, but also um, to kind of
having
be
fun
a way.
having fun with other divinatory
Right.
arts
Yeah, it's for people, well, also for people who maybe like are just accessing things like astrology for the first time, or may have very interested of adjacent to astrology. It's kind of designed for being accessible to people regardless of their sort of knowledge or what have you. We also have the resource module. Now, I want to make this much cooler. This is obviously really lame. This is just a folder at this point, but these are some public domain texts on astrology that you are free to read, or when we have the AI implemented, that you'll be able to have the program sort of understand. So you would be able to ask a question like, what did Valen say about this? And it'll just know, because the translation that the author gave us the permission to include here is in there. All the authors, any like for example, Eric Lusby contributed his research about the lots very generously, and so we have that with his permission. So yeah, but you could put whatever text you want in there, and the local version of the AI will know. But we're a little ways off from that. We're obviously just trying to get the workspace and these other things sort of built, but those things are on the way eventually. Gosh, there's even other things in here that I haven't shown you. Like there's just so much stuff.
one person has asked for circumambulation demonstration, and that's another thing you have on the timeline as well as the other
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So here we'll go through all the steps. So I'll check out what my predominator is. Okay, it's pretty sure it's the moon, so I should probably start circumambulations from the moon, and we're going to use the Egyptian bound system, and we'll calculate for 100 years ahead. So now it's showing us. Okay, so these are the bounds through Scorpio that the releaser is advancing through. And so it gives you the aspects that occur exactly when they occur. We don't have any interpretive material yet for these, but we will probably add that at some point. But yeah, that's kind of how it looks. And you can put this on the timeline. So you can see here it's showing you the sign and how long the bound ruler is in effect for. I do want to change this a little bit. This is not quite what I had in mind for how this would work, but this is kind of the preliminary version of how circumambulations would be implemented, but on the timeline at least. But yeah, that's what it looks like. I would think I almost would prefer it to be sort of slightly smaller. There's a lot of space being used in this, but I will tell you, I have learned more about code and programming and stuff than I ever thought I would. And I have a greater appreciation for how difficult it is, and it's hard to believe how how much of our world is like built on software, given how complex it can all get. And things that seem really simple to you as a user, can actually be quite complicated on the back end of things. And so, but yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, so you can choose different releases for circumambulations. You can choose which bound system you prefer to use. And I'm also
Did
working
you show
on.
it on? I'm sorry. Did I miss it? Did you show it on the timeline? The circumambulations on the timeline?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
sure. Yeah.
sorry, I missed that. Okay.
Oh no, that's okay. Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just press add
Right.
technique and then add circumambulations.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
that's what it looks like. Um, of course, we have Zadaka releasing on here. So this was an interesting sort of series of discussions we sort of had on this. Is like the best way to display this. I prefer the tree view, like where it's like branches out like this. This gives me a sense of the way that the signs sort of reside in others. Other people kind of prefer like tablets, like this. Now, this is again, I feel like this is kind of a first draft at this technique. This is not exactly the way that I would hope that this looks, but it does work. It is accurate. And if you like, you can even go down to level 8. I'm not sure why you would, but you can if you
Yeah, I
wanted
know
to.
that blew my
Um,
mind. You can go that far down.
yeah, so you can go to level 8 if you like.
That's such a
Uh,
John Streaker thing.
yeah, that is a John Streaker thing. He's a Sagittarius. He's a big time Sagittarius, and
Yeah. How
more is
far can
better.
I take
Is
this?
Yeah, how
Yeah.
far can I go? That's definitely John.
Doesn't want
Um,
any limitations on anything. Everything should be available
but
to anyone.
that's also what makes him like, just
Visionary.
yeah. I mean, it's what makes him amazing. So, um, yeah. So this is how it is currently working. You can specify which lot you want to release from or what sign. Um, you can. I think it's kind of cool that it'll automatically go to the sign that's active based on the date. And here's a weird thing that we put in here. It's kind of experimental, but we allowed the ability to use the mean planetary periods as well as the major planetary periods, and even the closest synodic approximation, like using the more precise synodic value of the minor periods as opposed to the more generalized minor periods. So, for example, you know, uh, we use 360-day years, and you can actually specify 365 if you like. We made the default setting the way that it's conventionally practiced and the way that it is described by Valens, but we do have these like sort of experimental options if you wanted to look at these different ways of doing it. But the main thing that I'm kind of hoping for with ZR is greater intelligibility, and that's why things like the sign score. No, why is that little? Oh yeah, now it is working now. Uh, that's why I love things like the sign score, because this gives us a little more ability to sort of almost quantify or just have a better way of having a sort of um, I don't know, expectations about like what a given planet should be, how it should be experienced, or what a given sign experience should be like, and then we can kind of measure that and really see if that matches the person's experience, and to make sure that releasing from the lot is maybe like the right lot to release from, or that it shouldn't be done in some other way, because there are obviously some cases where you take ZR out of the box and it works exactly as described and as you'd expect or hope, and then there are other times where it can be kind of confusing, or like it can be mismatching, and so and sometimes it takes sort of slight adjustments to sort of understand like how it could still make sense. And so I think having a tool like this that actually gives you a way of being able to kind of interpret visually, what these signs should be about, or what they should sort of signify, whether they are more positive or negative, or whether they are more active versus inactive. That's what I think is going to really help people's ZR uh, studies. But yeah, so that's the ZR function. Um, what else do we have in here? Yeah, essential dignity tables. Oh yeah, I love this. I love we have like all the bonification and maltreatment um, conditions in here for each planet. So it'll, the ones in blue are the ones which kind of describe the positive things going on for a planet versus the negative things. So, for example, my Venus, it recognizes that it's insect, that it's rejoices by quadrant, but it is also noting that it's in its opposite sign and that it has a malefic ruler, and those are things that kind of count against it. But it's also noticing that it's in its triplicity, it's in its own 12th part. There are some good things that are going on for this planet. And so it has that obviously for all of the planets there. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let me answer a few questions here.
Yeah.
Astro Stephanie asks, can you change the Ayanamsa for the nakshatra? Yeah, there's all the, we have a pretty big
Yeah.
variety of Ayanamsas to choose from.
All of the ones that are available in Swiss Ephemeris we have.
Right.
So like, for example, if I wanted to switch my like main here, if I chose sidereal, I can choose out of all of these Ayanamshas.
Oh, sorry. Let me
Huge
move this
list.
thing. Let me move the QR code so they can see that. There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a huge
so,
list there.
Yeah, and whichever one you choose, that's the one that you'll get the nakshatras for. Another question. Transits with solar returns and transits on secondary progressions. Can we do like tri-wheels with those?
Yeah, let's try it out. So here, let me close a few of these. So I like the browser design. Okay, let's do a solar return. We're going to do we're going to derived charts are just charts that come from another chart, right? So we're generating a solar return from a particular natal. So we're going to put this on here. I'm going to choose myself, and I'll use the current one. And yeah, let's cast that. Oh, whoops. Let's just do now. There we go. Okay. So now I have my current solar return, which I gotta say looks pretty cool. Venus is also my ruler of the year. So I'm looking forward to when Venus comes back to Libra, which will be right around UAC. So let's see. I can add. They wanted to see transits with a solar return.
Yeah, transits with
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's put this in the bi-wheel first, and then I can. Oh, you know what? It might be better to just do it this way. I could do combine, and then no. Oh yeah, tri-wheel. Sorry, I haven't done this in a while. Chart 1. All right, I'm going to choose my natal chart as chart 1, and then for chart 2, I'm going to choose a derived chart. So the one that I just did, yeah, I'll do that one. And then chart 3 would be transits. All right, and we'll just use my current location. Alrighty. Okay. Oh no. Uh-oh. Well,
Okay,
you can. You can. There just must be a bug in this version for that. Okay, so we can't get the transits on that third chart, but you typically can. Here, I might even be able to do it this way. I might be able to sort of cheat and go like create a tri-wheel. Here we go. And then I can just use this one as the so it looks like it's a little out of place though, because it looks like the
your natal chart's on the outer ring.
yeah, not sure why that happened. There is a way to change that around. I'm not sure I remember how. Is it this way? Do I do it like that? I think there was yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I'm on the inner wheel and the solar return is in the middle wheel, and now I can just animate the chart on the outside. Wait, what happened? Okay, yeah. So that should be correct. Yep. So there we go. There we have it. So we now have we'll definitely make sure that this is less sort of glitchy.
Yeah,
But you can but there I can do it. There is a way to do it is so
yeah,
I have the thing here and you can see how the animation controls in the bottom kind of go kind of far because we have the timeline here. So that's one of the other reasons that we want to have the ability to move the playback controls up to the side on either side just so you can get the full height of the chart, especially when you have a tri-wheel where you need the wheel to be as big as possible so you can see everything in here. Um, and you still have all of the resize options here, so I can actually I can actually make these a little smaller so I can actually see more precisely or finely into the tri-wheel. Um, and yeah, now that I have this outer one, activated, armed for animation. I can just use the slider to animate the transits, etc. Um, so yeah, that's that's what it looks like. And again, I'm not a huge fan of the tri-wheel look. It's a little better that there isn't like the like inner zodiac wheel, but I want it to look like the original wheel. We'll
yeah.
have that surely.
Yeah,
In a
we'll
future
also
updates.
we'll also have a function where when you move when you animate the transit wheel, that it can sync up with the secondary progression, so you can move them all together.
Oh well,
Um,
there might be that. Well, I actually haven't tried that. I haven't tried. Can I can I have two going at the same time? Hopefully, I don't crash the program. I've never done this before. Oh my god! Wait.
is it moving the secondary progressions as well? Because like ideally,
Well,
the
this
progression
oh, this
should be
is a
moved
oh
to the
oh
same
wait. I'm
to the
sorry.
same
I'm
date as the
confused.
transit.
This isn't there's no progressions here. There's no,
Oh, oh, sorry, it's
I
a solar return. Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a solar
I think
return, but I
someone
don't
was
know if you
asking about
can.
the secondary progressions and the solar arcs, if those move while you're moving the timeline transit. You know what I mean? Like
Well, yeah, I think you. Well, it looks like we can animate all
the two of them at the same
the
time.
two at the same time, but I'm actually seeing the second wheel animate though, even though both are armed. So that could be another bug. But
Okay, but it will it
we're
does
not
have that
actually
function
doing a
where we have
progression though. I didn't. I thought
right,
we were doing
okay,
a solar return and transits.
okay.
But yeah, so that's
But
that's
you can make a
I
tri-wheel
can.
and synchronize the animation of the secondary progressions in the middle wheel and the transits on the outer wheel, and synchronize their animation.
I believe so. Yeah, if you were looking for secondary progression, you can just put it here. If you don't want to have to keep clicking into this menu, you can also just click like the star, and it'll put it right there. So on your actions bar, so you can use this. Now, there's a lot of different things in here, and you're probably wondering like, how do I know what like I'm going to need some help here, figuring out what to do. Well, we do have this Nichepso user guide. I'm building this. I'm afraid it's not complete just yet because it is just me making it, and I've been trying to survive, but I am still on the way with it, and it's really cool when you click into a given tutorial. It's literally just like this. It's like actual screenshots with like written out directions for everything for exactly how to do everything in the program. Um, so the workspace module is the one that has been done sort of the most. So like, if you want to know the derived chart tutorials, they're all here. So like here's the tutorial for using solar returns. It's all right here. I tried to be as thorough as possible. And the kind of cool thing about doing it this way, using this service for doing it, is that like if we have to make a change that would like render a previous set of instructions obsolete, it's pretty easy for me to just go in and change it. Um, Now, this would require you have access to the internet, but I'm also thinking of generating PDFs from this. I can generate a PDF of the instructions so that if we could just include that with the program. So if you're not connected to the internet, you still have the instructions, but they're just still putting them together. But I'm making my way through slowly but surely. Um, So, oh yeah, it's also kind of cool if you click out of these and you realize, oh no, I didn't mean to delete that. You can just go to your recently closed, and you can see charts you
Oh,
recently had open. So I'm like, oh no, Donny Osmond, you know,
how could you delete Donnie?
then Donny Osmond
Without
has not
him,
gone
it's just
away.
all country and no rock and roll.
Right. So, but the real reason though why I have Donny Osmond here is because um, it was part of a presentation I did back at Norwalk on the goal years of the planets, not the goal years of the planets, the activations of the planets and the minor year periods of the planets. And so, what I thought was really funny is that Mozart was born with Virgo rising with Venus in Aquarius, and in his 8th year of life, he went on tour with his sibling, around Europe to play music for emperors and queens and all this kind of stuff. So he was like part of a family band, touring at the activation of his Venus, and of course, Donny Osmond also has Virgo rising with Venus in Aquarius, and also in his 8th year, goes touring with a family band, um, not playing necessarily for emperors and kings and queens and stuff, but
Well, for
having that sort of
Mormons,
similar
same
experience.
thing.
And then also Michael Jackson was born with Venus in the 6th house, and he also in his 8th year uh, went on tour with a family band. And it's
Wow.
like for these people, it was like Venus's work. So like the activation of Venus was like this doing the arts, but like as a task. Like you have to get out there and perform. So I just
And
thought
let's
those were kind
let's
of
be
extreme
and
examples.
let's be fair. Everyone knows Mozart was great. Everyone knows the Jackson 5 was great, but fewer people know that those early Osmonds records really kick. Crazy Horses, Phase 3. So they were into some like heavy prog stuff. It's easy to underrate them. Not the
I
TV show
see.
Donnie and Marie, but the Osmonds, the brothers in the band. Really good band. I will
Right.
vouch.
I don't actually see the um, interface. Are there any other sort of questions or?
Oh, I'm going to show the circles in a second. Astro
Okay.
Stephanie asked, any plans for Android iOS compatibility? Also, I mean, the plans,
Yeah.
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 Goal, no. I
When we
mean,
have,
someone else asked about the rough timeline from when the AI component will be available. I am done giving timelines.
I'm
My,
gonna,
my
yeah.
you know,
I mean, I
um,
understand that. I
yeah.
think it really, I mean, honestly, I think it really depends. It depends on a few things. Like one of them is if we can even keep going. Like, if we don't, if we're not able to reach enough customers and make this worth it enough to them to subscribe to, then there probably won't be these other things. But I do think that we have obviously a great number of people who want something like this. Obviously, we had 500 people support this right at the beginning to kind of get this started, and so we hope that if it can exist long enough for us to get to that point, it's not impossible. I think that we could have that sort of integration. You know, well, you know,
The
again,
sooner the better.
probably
Yeah.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
Sooner
The
the
time,
better.
I'm done
I
giving
would.
timelines.
I can't. I'm not saying this as a promise. I'm saying this as my wish. My wish would be before the end of this year. But that may be aggressive. Like, and I also don't really have enough information yet to really say for sure. It sort of depends on how well we do and how well we can patch up some of these remaining things and give people the program that allows them to be able to you know know that this is the one that they want to stick with. So uh yeah,
Yeah.
we are that's the truth. I
That's the
can't give a
truth of
date,
it.
but I can give you that.
Yeah, I mean the reason we are making it a subscription model is with the expectation that people will use it and subscribe, and with those funds we can keep developing it and adding features. So we have a lot of big dreams for Nichepso and things we could do with it. But yeah, I think some of it will be how much money we can throw at a problem. Can we hire people to help things go faster? So far, that's been a real issue for us. Anyone
Right.
anyone we hired for help turned out to really not be very
What
useful
we what
to
we
us,
have.
and costly. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of aspiration, but I
Now,
mean, the software has to make it in order for these other things to happen.
although, on the other hand, though, with the AI, integration, at least, I can't really think of anyone we actually need to bring on. We just need the time to be able to actually work on it, the time and space to be able
Yeah.
to really focus on it. I've contributed now, um, yeah, hundreds of thousands worth of tokens of my own sort of astrological thinking that I've been putting into the AI, so that it has kind of the knowledge about some of the advanced topics I know about, to be able to answer these things sort of accurately and honestly and truthfully. And but that took time. I had to take time off from work to dedicate to just filling out like just hundreds and hundreds of cells of spreadsheets. That was like a lot of what I was doing in 2024, and I had to take some time off in order to focus on some of the coding things that had to be done. So what I'm hoping is, if we do well enough with the software, then I'll be able to refocus back on those core tasks, because once that part is done, then then it was just a matter of coding everything into the program to allow you to be able to click on the little lightning bolt button that will prompt the AI exactly with what you want to ask about. So the way it will work is actually really cool. When you click on a given planet in a chart, um, you get the pop-up that comes up here, right? And there will be a little sort of lightning bolt icon here, and when you click on that, that will automatically prompt the AI like, I'm asking about the Mars position in this chart, specifically. So then it's going to load up all of the information it has about this planet Mars from this chart: its latitude, its brightness, its aspects, its house position, and it's already going to load it up with that, so that by the time you're asking the question, it already knows like something about what you're going to be asking it about. And it's going to be kind of focusing on asking a question. So I could ask it a question like, you know um what are some like lesser known things that you might be able to say about my Mars placement? Or you could say, what kind of things have happened in my life before when Mars was in Libra? um and if you had enough data in your events, then it would be able to actually compile kind of, it would be able to find different events from your chronology that have Mars and Libra, and it would be able to say, well, you seems like you've had these kind of experiences, and you know um they have the common theme of this. Or maybe it would say like, they're kind of different. There must be other things going on. So we really envision the AI component to be like a real like assistant to the astrologer, and really only useful to someone if they already have a lot of astrological knowledge. I don't know that it would. I know some people have kind of this existential fear of like, being replaced by AI, and I can see how obviously that is valid to some extent. But this is this would be something that uh, I think it's only really useful if you actually. It's kind of like how autopilot on a plane is only really useful to someone who knows how to fly planes.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a good
you know.
analogy. Yeah.
Um, and so, and there's a lot of other things too. I know I mean, AI has become so like politically toxic, and I completely get it to a large extent. And but the thing I would want people to know, if you're hearing those two dreaded stupid words, AI, two letters, and thinking, oh God, not another thing like this. Like, we understand that like AI has been like jammed down our throats, and like it's not even in not even in ways that are very useful, and it doesn't even work. So like, what's the point, right? We think that the way we're putting AI in this program actually like makes sense to sort of have as an assistant. Will be able to like do things for you, like open up my transits for today, and it will just do it. Um, we also know there's concerns around like safety and privacy, and this AI would be locally hosted on your machine. It wouldn't be connected to the internet, so all of your data would stay on your own computer, and the only energy that would be used, would be the energy you're using for your own computer to run the software. Um, and we're even looking into finding data centers that are powered by renewables, and that's how we would do like the fine tuning is with sort of environmentally sustainable um, uh, data centers. So we are aware of some of these like objections that people have with AI generally, and of course all of the data being put into it is like from us, and even the base models are going to be based on like public information, and we're going to try to find the ones that are obviously the most ethically compiled, because that is important to us. um, it's but what's crazy is you don't even need to use AI with this program. It's so cool already. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can just turn it off. In fact, you can go in the settings and literally go
I don't
AI
want it.
activated, true, false, false. Boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
You don't have to use it
Yeah.
because it's not going to be there. So yeah, don't don't worry. If it's something that you think
No,
you can get
I
some use
mean,
out of, great.
worry, but not
Worry.
because of anything Nechepso's doing.
Right, right.
Yeah, aim your worry elsewhere. Okay, shall I show the
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead and get rid of my screen. I
circles?
don't know exactly
And
where
yeah,
you are.
I did get rid of your screen. I'm gonna add mine, and there we are. Can you see my Nechepso?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the circles. Basically, I mean, there's different ways to collect our data, but this is like basically for your family friends thing is the idea. So that's my wife Anna, that's my high school friend Mike, and a couple of other good buddies of mine, and my stepkids, my adopted daughter, my nephews, my brother. So yeah, I mean, if I could add my parents and grandparents and things like that, but it's a really cool feature um, that allows you to yeah, track your family members and friends, or whoever in your personal life, if you're keeping track of their astrology. And then in this circle you can look at their circle, but you can also go, like, say, to the snapshot, oops, and get their data as well. I'm trying to remember how I look them up in here, but um,
I
I have to
think
refamiliarize
no,
myself.
no. Oh, yeah, yeah. This, do you see where you see your name? See the
Uh,
arrows next to your name on either
where's
side
my
of the screen?
arrows next to my name on either
Yeah.
side of the
Do you see where it
screen?
says Nick Dagan Best?
I said,
Right
well,
there.
welcome back,
Like
Nick
in the center
Dagan.
of the screen. Look in the very center of
Oh
your
yeah,
screen.
yeah.
Nick Dagan Best.
Oh yes,
And
yes,
then
yes.
see,
That's
yeah,
right. Thank
there you
you.
go.
That's right. There's my friend Mike. There's my brother Michael. There's my nephew. There's my other nephew. There's my stepson Kingsley. There's Leah, Ayanda, and my buddy Jay, my buddy Jeremiah, and my beautiful wife Anna, and yeah, and myself. So you can look at everyone's updated, information as well. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I think circles is amazing, and I don't know how we I don't know how we didn't think of this originally, because we came up with the idea of circles and like, oh yeah, that's really cool. So you can like kind of keep track of like the people closest to you in the charts that you're most interested in following, and then we've had people go like, oh, you should have like allow people to have circles for every chart, like to kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, well, obviously, like, how
yeah,
did we not? It's been
yeah,
amazing to kind of get people's ideas on what to include. People come up with things that I never even sort of thought of, or that I feel stupid for not having thought of. I'm like, we went all the way there, and then there's like
yeah.
another good idea, like right on the cusp of that. Um,
Exactly. One other person asked about incorporating charts from other softwares.
Yeah,
That's one of the next things that will be
yeah,
done and added. It's a major priority. I mean, that's how I'm going to incorporate my database, and I know
yeah,
Adam Ellenbass wants it as well for
yeah.
for his teaching. So yeah, that's going to be one of the next things to be added.
The idea will be we want it to just be really easy to transition from whatever software you're using. Usually, most astrology software will give you the option of exporting your data. So my goal is that we'll have, and I can even sort of envision like how it could be done, or just like an importer on so on the Chepso that you know just upload the files that you exported from the other program, and it will sort of incorporate it into Nichepso's data format. Um, so we do have a way of doing that. We just never quite got to it with this release, but we will. That we definitely want it to be easy to transition. You know, right
Yeah.
now I'm like I said, I'm sort of like still like 50-50. Like I have a lot of old client files in Solify that I still have to go into Solify in order to get. You know, I would love to just be able to, port everything over. And
Yeah.
I think the day is coming, soon where we'll be able to do that.
Right on.
So
Right on, brother.
looking at the comments. Oh, Sparkles of Gold, Nicholas. He said, "Can't wait to see the both of
Hey,
you
Nick.
at UAC." We will be at UAC, and we will be there, like, not just as speakers, but also as Nichepso vendors. Actually picked what I think is the most perfect spot where everyone can see us from the escalators in the hotel, and we're gonna have a giant TV, and people will get to play with the software in person if they're there. And so we hope to have a big presence there at
Yeah.
UAC in Chicago in September.
And a big hug for Nick when we see him.
Yes. So Erska says, I completely fell down the rabbit hole of the ZR science score. Absolutely crazy. I love it. Right? I think that's really cool. We've needed an ability to just visually see how good or how bad or how active or how inactive a sign is.
Patrick
in
will
the
be at
process of ZR.
NORWAC, but I won't be at NORWAC, but I will be at UWAC. Is what Sparkles of Gold asked.
Yeah. I'm looking at the other comments. Do we see?
I'm not sure what to say. The lunar gestation cycle moon families. That's an interesting suggestion to look into. Sonia, if you have any literature that you could send our way that we could inform ourselves on what we could incorporate and what we could do, that would be really useful. But that's a good idea.
Casanti said earlier on, they said, why don't you show how to search among your charts for those with certain placements in common? That's really cool. Also the election find functionality. Yeah, so essentially in a given collection of charts, you can search for commonalities in those charts. I don't know if my version has that up to date. If I recall, I think I still have to update. Basically, I'm hoping to get like my changes done so that I can finally update my program to the latest version. Yeah, you can do that. What other things have people said in here? Well, we've talked obviously a lot about the software, and obviously we wanted to show the software, but like, there's so much to talk about astrologically too, and we can use, the software to demonstrate, the kind of things that we want to talk about. But these, what do you make of the Saturn Neptune conjunction so far? One of the big things that I've been kind of wondering about with it is what was going to happen with Russia, given its long history with that conjunction. And what is this one the return of? Is this the one that is like the founding of St. Petersburg?
That's right. Yeah. In the early 1700s, St. Petersburg was founded during a Saturn-Neptune conjunction in early Aries, I think 1703,
Here, I
if I
can
remember
bring that
correctly.
up on the screen in Niche episode here.
May of 1703, if I remember correctly.
I can, here, I'll share my screen.
Okay.
All right,
Oops.
so alrighty, so we want to go back to 1703, you said?
Yeah.
Yep, there we go. So 1703 was, here, I'll make it bigger. Yeah, that was a Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. Now, this one was kind of different. It was like conjunct Jupiter. Maybe that's why this one wasn't so bad, because it seems like the common theme of the Saturn Neptune conjunctions earlier for Russia, like, they haven't always been very positive, right? Or are they mixed?
No, I mean they're mostly bad. I mean, look, this is the building of St. Petersburg, but it doesn't happen overnight. He basically uses slave labor to do it, and I think like a six-number figure of people die building the place. He's still at war with Sweden. The reason he builds St. Petersburg, this is Peter the Great, is so he can keep an eye on his enemy Sweden, and he's still going to be at war with them for another 20 years afterwards. So yeah, not all great. I mean, it's Russian history. There's usually some kind of suffering involved.
Mm. I was just pointing out that when you double click on a planet, you like highlights just the planets that it's in aspect with. So I double
Love it.
clicked on
Yeah.
Saturn, and it only shows those ones. And if you want to exit that, you just press the exit and go back. I think
Brilliant.
that's pretty cool. I gotta say, one of the things that I've been looking at with this conjunction, especially when Mars is going through Aries, is one of the kind of historical events that this corresponds to is the 47 Ronin incident.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's also
so
from yeah.
yeah, from 1703. So the basically the 47 Ronin incident, there were essentially 47 samurai and the master, Arko, I think his name was, or Aro, Arko, I think, is killed, and they kind of avenge him. And they have this like revenge plot that takes place like 2 years later. So basically, the last time Mars was in Aries prior to this in 1701, and then Mars comes back to Aries, but this time it's with Saturn and Neptune, and that's this. It's in this time frame where they take up this plot to assassinate the leader that they have who betrayed the former leader or whatever. So the reason why this is become such a, I'm really bastardizing this, but the from a a bastardized understanding of this event and the significance and why people care about this is because it's sort of a classic example of like conflicting duties. Because on the one hand, they were following like samurai code, Bushido, by honoring their former master, but by disobeying their current master, they were also breaking the law, and the punishment was death. And they turned themselves in after doing it. They weren't doing it to try to get away with it. They did it with full knowledge that they would be punished with death for doing it. So they handed themselves in. So it's kind of this big, it's kind of the it's about
It's a statement. Yeah.
it's about should you be true to your ideals and a higher purpose, or is it right to always follow the law in all cases? And so ultimately the way they resolved it is they said, well, you know you do need to die because you broke the law, but to preserve your honor you can all commit seppuku. So that's what happened. And so
Easy
I
come,
just think it's
easy
kind of,
go.
so I think it's kind of interesting because, of course, we associate Aries with like the sign of like soldiers in the military, and so these are samurai, essentially the equivalent of like U.S. Marines. And in the going, so you have like Mars and Aries, the soldier, crossing over this sort of, I guess, tragic or self-sacrificial, principled kind of thing, with Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, and they take an action that they know will bring them down. So they do so out of a sort of calling to a higher sort of order or higher purpose. And so the fact that Saturn and Neptune and Aries and Mars will be coming back in April, through Aries. Makes me wonder if we might see like a modern version of this kind of incident where we might see soldiers or like military leaders, let's say, deciding
Oh,
not to follow illegal orders.
I
And
can speed this. I can speed this up. Let me, if you don't mind my interrupting. There
go
are.
ahead.
Let me tell you four people. The names of four people who were born with Mars and Saturn co-present in the same sign: J.D. Vance, RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel.
Hmm.
Um, Vance and RFK Jr., even though they're born 30 years apart, they both have Mars and Saturn in Scorpio. I'm expecting those two guys to be like two ferrets in a bag in April and May when we have the recurrence. I think they're going to be, against each other, basically.
Mm.
Hegseth and Kash Patel, both born in 1980, have the Mars Saturn co-presence in Virgo, which like half the people born in 1980 have. And yeah, that'll be interesting for them as well. But given, you've got the the head of the FBI and the Secretary of War involved, as well as those other two, higher ups. Yeah, that recurrence transit is, I think, going to be very visible in the lives of all four of those men during that time.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. It's also kind of funny to me too that like Saturn is in Aries, the sign of like leaders and leadership. And so it sometimes reflects times when leaders become like humbled. Of course, what happened when Saturn first entered Aries in 2025? We had the emergence of the No Kings protest, which is pretty much the most succinct description of Saturn and Aries there is. If Aries like, yeah, sun exaltation of the sun, kings, and Saturn is rejection, then yeah, no kings, Saturn and Aries. And but it's also interesting to see that you see like the humbling or humiliation of like leadership figures. And so if we look back at 1997, 1998, that was when Clinton was facing Congress over like sexually related allegations, and Saturn is in Aries again as Clinton is being summoned back to Congress on sexually related allegations. It's like a direct sort of repeat in a way of like that early era, and so this is kind of an interesting like Saturn return of the whole like Lewinsky impeachment affair for Clinton's, and in a very different context, obviously. So it'll be very interesting to see how that works out for him. I'm also thinking of the fact that he was born with Mars Neptune rising. So this is kind of a recurrence for him as well, except he'll be
Right.
opposed to his Mars Neptune this time. Um, what's happening in the
And
comments there?
also back in during the Vietnam War, the Tet Offensive and things like that were Saturn and Aries. Speaking of military leaders being embarrassed.
Oh, oh no, no, Nick. Actually, that goes much. You are exactly correct. In fact, the week of the worst casualties on the U.S. side was when the Tet Offensive was stopped, which was right as Mars was going up to the conjunction with Saturn. And that's one of I think the big themes of like Mars, Saturn, and Aries is it's like on the one hand, it's like stopping something. Like the Tet Offensive was stopped, but at what cost? Because it forced the Secretary of Defense McNamara to resign, basically, right? Like a military figure had to step down, because they did that review of whether the Vietnam War was even winnable at that point, and they concluded
Right.
that it wasn't. And I think the day
Yeah.
of that review was on the exact day of the Mars Saturn conjunction, where they basically said we can't do this. And yeah,
Right.
so if we actually go back to that period of the 60s, it's actually really funny because
Well, they
we
switched the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that year as well as me.
yeah, well, because and then what
That was when
happened as well
Westmoreland came along. Go ahead.
in
Sorry.
that same time frame, that's when we get LBJ not doing so well in
Yeah.
that primary, and then at the 3 days past the solar eclipse in Aries, he drops out of the race.
I
So you
will
had
not
another
seek,
downfall.
nor will I accept my party's
Right.
nomination to serve another term as your president.
Oh, I don't have the
I
notes
got
in
a
here. What?
knife in my pocket. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah,
Um,
one sec. Lunar objects, North
LBJ
Node.
was a character, man.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, this is like right around the time that he resigned. So not only was the solar eclipse like a sort of downfall, but it was directly related to, pardon me, it was directly related to, what was happening with the war, which is, it's almost a shame because he otherwise, had a pretty good record. I mean, he's the reason that the United States had Medicaid, that's like the closest America seemingly ever got to, having some kind of, guarantee of health care
He was
access if you couldn't afford it.
he was the more productive of America's sexual predator presidents.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I there
he
was
was,
that. I didn't I
yeah.
know I didn't know to what extent. I know that he
Oh,
was
it's
kind of
oh, it's bad.
ridiculous, but
It's bad. I won't go into it here, but it's bad.
okay.
Um,
So I'll stop glazing him. So, uh,
No, but I mean, you're right. Look, these things are nuanced. He did do a bunch of things. His domestic policy was really, good, and
war and
if it hadn't
poverty,
been for
etc.
yeah, if it hadn't been for Vietnam, like the presidency really would have been this major success. So it is. No, you're absolutely right. It's tragic, and the details of his personal life are well, they are what they are. You've had worse since, but he was pretty bad. He was pretty bad.
Right. You've had worse since. You mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really, and we'll actually probably be talking a bit more about this whenever we, I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag by saying this, but I think we'll probably be on the astrology podcast pretty soon at some point with Chris talking
Mhm.
about Saturn and Aries stuff. So, so we'll have some more material for that. But these are definitely some of the things that sort of come to my mind when I'm thinking about Saturn and Aries and Saturn with Neptune. I mean, that's not
Uh,
all, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing for me, like, I've been saying for over a year about how Saturn Neptune is a wake up call for everyone.
Hmm.
Like everyone gets their own version of a sort of like, a revelation, realizing a larger truth, realizing something that they thought was untrue or just didn't believe or what
A
have you.
larger lie. I don't know.
Yeah,
Have you?
right.
Did you see Bugonia with Emma
No,
Stone
no.
and Jesse Plemons? Oh my God, watch it as soon as you
Yeah, yeah.
can. I think
I
it's on
I
Peacock.
I
It
will.
is a really, really cool movie. I mean, not cool, but like weird and amazing, and I really loved it, and it's so perfect for this moment.
Nice.
It is a I don't want to spoil it, but I'll just say that the parallels that it has to the current way in which people are having to confront that like certain things were true, or rather
Right.
that what you thought was a lie was actually had some more basis in truth, and then things that you thought were true were actually false. But even to the people who believed the thing that was
Yeah.
false, that was that
I
they
mean,
were
it's funny.
duped still.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. Like obviously, most of us have known Trump's a pervert for over a decade, but some
Right.
people are only working out, in the last few weeks or months. But in the meantime, look, the American left is suddenly realizing, oh, there was a Pizza Gate. If,
Right.
if Alex Jones had not come out for Trump or Sandy Hook, he would have been right about virtually everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I, I
Well, but how you know what though? I still feel like, I mean, maybe this is biased, but I still feel like, I would much rather be caught, thinking that something that sounded outlandish and didn't have seemingly a lot of
oh,
evidence
yeah,
for it,
yeah, yeah,
might not
sure.
have a whole lot to it, and then to be someone who believed it hook, line, and sinker, but then ignored what was right in front of them.
Yeah, no,
Because
sure.
because obviously, like the fact that people believed in QAnon, Pizzagate, etc., and then supported one of the central figures and perpetrators of the crimes that they say they're against, that's got to be worse, right? Like,
Sure, sure.
that's another
In the
level
in the in the
of
court
suffering.
in the yeah, no, no, sure, in the court of sins, absolutely. But there is still a sort of an equalizing thing to it where everyone gets some insight into like, oh, that's not
Right.
something I thought was true. There is an equalizer there.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that in a way this is like sorely needed, because in the United States there's just been such a um a bifurcation in like the baseline assumptions and premises of reality, that there's just been two diverging
Yeah.
kind of perspectives and narratives, and they are hard to reconcile, if not impossible to reconcile. But I think that, and while people can have different types of delusions, I think that things like this kind of, yeah, do help establish at least some kind of new baseline, of understanding that, okay, like, you know uh we don't really have a democracy, do we? Because it's not just a sex scandal or sex crimes. It's evidence of a whole political order that bears very little correspondence to like the what the democratic process is supposed to ensure. It basically makes our democratic process look like a managed branding exercise, rather than people, their votes actually determining and directing the course of the country. That really how things happen, like the real sources of power are just like these random assholes who have too much power and too much money, and it's just happening in like stupid, like typo filled emails and these like fancy parties. And while like the results sort of speak for themselves in a way, like obviously democracy has been on the ropes for a long time, and I guess you could say, going back even further, that the wealthy have always had an undue influence and power over the way things have gone. It's just beyond the point of farce and to the point of criminal, um you know uh just yeah, just a total um negation and refutation of like what we're supposed to be, which is ostensibly a democratic
And
republic.
the salt in the wound, England is actually throwing their prince in jail, while
Yeah,
the country that made like a big show of like not having a king, of being a
right.
republic and this and that. Not trying to be the jerky
No, no,
Canadian,
no, no.
but let's
I know,
face
I
it,
get you.
that's getting slapped with the irony,
Well, that word, Nick. I remember one time I asked you, how do you know what a given Uranus return will be like? Like, how do you what's the assumption that would actually lead you to the correct answer about like what would happen in a given Uranus return? And the answer you gave me at that time was, well, I'm not entirely sure, but it seems like it's the most ironic outcome. Um,
That's right, I did say that.
it's always like it's
Out.
always the most ironic one, and I've thought about that a lot lately. Um,
Right. No, I'd forgotten I said that, but I did say that. And yeah, kind of on the nose.
yeah,
Um,
Uranus. So you could almost formalize that to a statement like, Uranus produces outcomes that default to the path of greatest irony, um, as opposed to just surprising. Like I feel like surprises is almost too
too
isn't
too
precise enough
too
or something.
too one dimensional. Yeah,
Right.
irony has all this nuance and kismet, to it.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's powerful for that reason.
Right.
Um, I'm nearly out of steam. Nicholas
Okay.
wanted to hear some thoughts about Iran. Iran is another country that has a long history with Saturn Neptune conjunctions tied to important turning points. The other thing is, of course, the Mars cycle. In 1979, the Sun was conjunct Mars in Capricorn when the Shah left Iran, and they had both just moved into Aquarius when the Ayatollah Khomeini arrived at the tail end of the Iranian Revolution. Sun Mars conjunctions in Capricorn will only occur every 32 to 47 years. And yeah, we had 32 years after 79. We had 2011, the Arab Spring, when Sun and Mars were conjunct in Aquarius. And then now, just this past January, as Iran erupted into uprising, we had the Sun Mars conjunction, the 47-year return from the Shah leaving Iran in 1979. So there's some really powerful Mars stuff involved there as well. Funny that Sparkles of Gold is asking about this, because there's The flip side to Mars in Aquarius for Iran is the Mars retrograde in Aquarius, which is also a big one. In 1971, there was a Mars retrograde in Aquarius, and the Shah hosted this big, like 2,000 year anniversary, 4,000 year anniversary of the Persian dynasty. I forget how, it's thousands of years. And like the guest list included Queen Elizabeth, Henry Kissinger, like all these heads of state were there. And to hold this event, the Shah threw all these Iranian dissidents into jail, just keep them off the streets so there's no trouble for the big party. But that really, like, all the money spent on this thing, all the sort of, throwing all these people in jail just as a precaution. These were the kinds of things that, made people really hot under the collar by the time the revolution broke out 7 years later. So there's often a connection between the Mars retrograde in Aquarius and what follows with the Sun-Mars conjunction. That's a good example of it as well.
Oh, is that what you're talking about, the 7 years later? Because
Yeah,
half
yeah.
of 15 often corresponds to a Sun-Mars conjunction, the same sign that a retrograde had occurred in.
Yeah.
I think you were the one who turned me on to the Sun-Mars conjunctions in like Capricorn and Aquarius kind of corresponding with like leaders fleeing.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the Shah in 1979, and then in 2011 that was when Mubarak fled Egypt, and that was right at the Sun-Mars conjunction in Aquarius. And then we just had Sun-Mars conjunction in Capricorn, and that was like when Maduro was taken. It wasn't a fleeing; it was a kidnapping. And what I thought was so interesting about this, when I kind of put that together, is that at a Sun-Mars conjunction, that's like when Mars is switching sides of the Sun. There's some way in which, like, the torch of agency is being transferred from one party to another, and that was really literal in the case of the Egyptian version of the Arab Spring with Mubarak, because the Sun-Mars conjunction was when the critical turning point. The reason why he fled is because it was the day that the police joined the protesters. So we think of Mars as like the law enforcers, or the physical force, the muscle, backing up the king. Essentially, then the Mars switching sides of the Sun was like changing their allegiance from being aligned with the king to being aligned with the people, and Mars changing its position relative to the Sun coincided with the police changing sides, and thus the leader needing to flee because they no longer had the support of the enforcers. And I feel like we even kind of saw a version of that in the US, with not just with like what happened in Venezuela, but with the killing of Rene Good. I think there's been an internal shift for a lot of people. For a lot of people, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a protected class. It was a white woman, who gets killed in broad daylight by these goons. So it was, I think, we saw gun sales among left-leaning people drastically increase in the aftermath of that event, and I think this reflects again, Mars switching sides, the desire to defend or protect or react to force, has now changed positions relative to the Sun. It's like the overstepping of the bounds by a martial figure, this ice agent, sort of has resulted in people's own instinct for self-preservation and defense to change from like, I would never be a person who would get a gun, to I'm considering it, or I'm buying it. I think that's there's something about that, Mars switching sides.
Have you seen Delcy Rodriguez's birth chart, the woman who replaced Maduro? She's
no,
born,
I haven't.
She's born May 18th, 1969, and she has the Sun at 27 Taurus, and Uranus was conjunct her Taurus when she suddenly became the acting president.
Right.
Well,
she would have Jupiter pretty close to her Uranus, right?
Yeah.
So if she's 1969, so that would mean that her Uranus transits would have some degree of Jupiteriness.
Yeah.
There'd be some way in which it kind of acts in a that you kind of tell me onto this as well, that
Yeah.
if you're born with a planet conjunct another planet, that planet will behave in some ways like the other planet it's conjunct with. So if you were born with
Yeah.
Jupiter conjunct Uranus, then transits from Uranus will have a kind of Jupiter type flavor, which could
Yeah.
explain why, yeah, people have really different experiences with the same kind of transit. The natal configuration
Absolutely.
of Uranus sort of describes what kind of ironic event
Right.
or subverting or inverting kind of event.
Yeah. Yeah. When you
See,
have planets in a conjunction, they sort of become this, you know, amorphous blob of the two. If you have yeah, Mars conjunct Saturn, the Saturn transits carry a Mars vibe with them, and the Mars transits carry a Saturn vibe to them. But
and
because that's what those planets mean to you. That's what
right.
in your chart. Yeah.
And you also said something which I've kind of kept with me too, which is that if you're having like a long-term transit to say a planet like Venus, like if you're having Neptune conjunct your Venus, that Venus retrogrades that occur while Neptune is conjunct your Venus will have a more like Neptunian sort of
Hmm.
flavor, because your natal Venus is kind of being colored in this way, and thus your experiences with Venus in that time are like, it's not just the aspect itself, but your experience with the transiting version of that planet, which I think is a
Hmm.
really, I don't know if anyone else has really sort of put it like that before, but the way you put it to me way back when, like, there's been a lot of, I don't know if you appreciate how huge of an influence you've had on me. Like,
Well,
there's just
that's
been
nice.
like little things you've said that have just like stuck with me and like influenced things.
Oh, good.
The way I've looked at them and the way I've thought about them, and things I kind of keep track of now and pay attention to. So you often said like you felt like you corrupted the youth, um,
Well, that was
when
always
you.
a joke. Like
I know, I know, but
I mean,
I know, I know.
full disclosure, I was a man in my mid late 30s talking to a teenager, and so that was the joke. I mean, but I
Sure.
was I
What's
was,
crazy
but,
is I'm
but I wasn't.
38 now.
But vouch for me. Yeah, I know you're the age I was in those
I'm
days.
I'm
Uh,
now the age that you were when you first met me. So
yeah.
I've sometimes wondered, like, is there like another like person born 19 years before me that I sort of hand off what I have to them, but they haven't emerged yet.
You mean 19 years after you? Yeah, yeah.
Pardon me. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a magic time. March of 2005. Chris and
Yeah.
I had just met on I only heard about MySpace because Chris told me about it. And so I wound up on MySpace and then met you on MySpace shortly after, and we
Mhm.
all sort of coalesced.
Yeah.
And then I met you in person the following year.
That's
So
right.
yeah, it's been a long road, and thank you for saying that. I sure had, like, in those days, I was, until I met you guys, I mean, I knew no one else in astrology really. I knew Sam Reynolds, but I didn't know that many people. And so it was really nice to suddenly have a circle of friends to talk to, even if they were kids and I was a middle-aged guy in my 30s. But, but beggars can't choosers, and we hit it off. And I mean, I joke about corrupting the youth, but I mean, all I
Yeah. I
was
know.
doing
I
was
know.
talking astrology.
I
That
was
we
talking
did
as
have
a
that
joke.
kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm the dirty old man teaching
Yeah.
you astrology.
No.
That
No.
was always
No.
a
Yeah.
gag.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, unless if you think astrology is a dirty thing, then yes, I absolutely
Yeah.
corrupted America's youth, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud corrupter. But yeah, no, that was always the joke. I mean, when you and I met, I was 36. You were the fuck, you were still
17.
17. You were 17, and
Mhm.
Chris was 20.
Like nine. Yeah. Yeah.
No, he
19,
was
20.
20 because I bought Chris his first legal beer on his 21st birthday on November
Wow.
1st, 2005. The
Wow.
first time he could go into a beer in America, and I bought him his first legal beer.
That's really
So
funny.
yeah, those were good times. But yeah, that was the age. So that you can imagine, like a 36-year-old hanging out with these younger guys. But that,
Sure.
I mean, my world was all astrology, so I can't really even. It's hard for me to relate to people who aren't involved in astrology. I'm better at it now than I was 20 years ago when I was really just, in the weeds of my own obsession. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there you are.
Yeah, I can't
Thank you. I'd
say
forgotten that thing about the ironic outcome. That's a really good
yeah.
line.
No, you should definitely, resurrect that. Um, I love when people tell me something that I forgot about. I'm like, "Oh, that's a good yeah, that's a I said that? Wow, nice." Um, I sometimes feel like that when I see, like, old emails I've written or old, like, comments I've made where I, like, put a lot of time into it, I'm almost surprised, like, "Wow, okay, that held up. That was a good
Yeah.
good job, past me."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Every now and then I read like some old articles I wrote and I'm like, oh, yeah, I can write. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. I'd forgotten I could do
um,
that.
that's funny. Um,
Sort of like every time I go back to Montreal and I realize, oh, yeah, I do speak French. Oh, yeah. I've forgotten that.
j'ai oublié plus de français. Je yeah.
You're mixing
Je
up
ne parle
different.
je ne parle
Yeah.
plus.
The grammar's already all over the place. I
Yeah.
won't. Let's. It's like pretty soon you can use those new AI translators, language
Yeah,
translators.
I'll use that. I haven't spoken French in a while.
All right. Well,
So
we're gonna
oh,
wrap this up, but
you're wrapping up, yeah.
yeah, but I did want to say, I'm definitely interested in doing a lot more live streaming now that Nichepso's out. It's a joy to use, and I want to play with it and play with it live. So yeah, if you're not subscribed to, follow me on your venue of choice, please do. Patrick, I know you will come back. We will
Yes.
do this again.
Yeah, we will.
Um, yeah. I love doing this with you, and we can get into more. The more we sort of unpack Nichepso, the more we can use it to engage with the astrology we're talking
Yeah.
about online. And yeah, I think there's so much we can do now that we've landed this thing. And so thank you, and thank you for your brilliant exposition of Nichepso today. Um,
Yeah, nice.
I'm
Yeah.
still playing with it and enjoying it, but you're a little further ahead with the usage, so that got me juiced up as well.
Well, I
And
am doing the tutorials, and,
yeah,
it's really it's like Nick, me, and John who are doing the customer service on this, so, you know, I just, I would love
we're a
to see
little
more
backed up,
subscribers
but
today.
we're getting to,
But
yeah.
yeah, we will do our absolute best to make sure it's up
Yeah.
and running on your machine, and that I'm finishing these tutorials, and we will do our best to be the best company we can be, and with everyone on board, we will be able to keep building and making it better, and making it just what we all kind of dream of, when we want, when we've thought of like having new software. This is really, for me, this is the really big Saturn Neptune thing. It's the dream, the vision, becoming a reality.
Yeah.
And we're here.
We're here. We're here. So stoked. All right, man. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for sitting through this, and we hope you enjoyed it. We really enjoyed your comments and feedback, and getting a chance to show this off to you. Um, you can see all the QR codes and other and you know promo codes and what have you, so we don't need to mention those. They've been in your face this whole time. Thank you very much, and yeah, we'll see you soon. I'm not sure, we haven't landed on a schedule of what we would do live stream wise, but maybe at first I'm going to do it kind
We'll
of
play it by ear.
yeah, I'm gonna be doing it sort of spontaneously. I think, I don't know how much I can stick to a schedule just yet, but we'll see how we go. But it's something I want to do a lot more of now.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. See you
Thank you.
soon.